So this is the second video of business management information systems. So let's get to it. So how does the organization strategy determine information system requirements? Okay. So to explain the sentence over here using English that I know, basically it's saying the business strategy is what the business aims to do, right? So let's say if the business wants to sell a particular car. A business needs to know exactly what it needs to do. It needs to make this car the best car in across all businesses, right? So the business have to do a lot of stuff, investigation. So it has to look in the industry, car industry, all the stuff, compare them with the competitors, all the other people, and basically then make a plan on how to implement the strategy, right? Obviously, the system requirements is obviously what you need in order to make that happen. So a plan is needed in order to create this whole product you're going to put in the business, right? So there's steps, right, for this thing, and you'll get in almost every exam in this section. The first step, where is it? Yeah. So the first step is okay. I think the steps are here. Yeah, there's it. Yeah. Industry structure, competitive strategy, value change, processes, and information systems. Those are the 5 steps you must know. It'll come out. I'm telling you, it'll come out in multiple choice. Right? So, what are all this, right? From year to year are basically things the business must do in order to know what information system to implement in the business, right? The first step is industry structure. Now, this is talking about industry structure. Industry structure is looking at the business and all other businesses that are doing the same thing as you. If you're selling a car, you will look at all the car companies in South Africa and you'll do something called Porter's 5 houses. Sorry. Not with Porter's 5 forces model. Why did I say Porter's houses? I have no idea. But Porter's 5 forces model. Now the Peters, the Porter's forces is. Promise you, say Porter's 5 forces model 5 times in a row. Porter 5 forces model, Porter 5 forces model, Porter 5 forces model, yeah, you can't say it. Anyway, the Porter 5 forces model will help you to analyze the structure of the industry, all the companies, right? These 5 things are over here. So, bargaining power of customers, right? That's number 1. Threat of substitution, bargaining power of suppliers, threat of new entrants, and rivalry. Now, what does all mean, you might ask? If you go down over here, all those 5 forces model is represented as 2 categories. Number 1 is competitive, and number 2 is bargaining. And it makes total sense now. Bargaining is student central, right? SC. S stands for suppliers, C stands for customers. Bargaining. What does bargaining means? It's a type of negotiating. So from the 5 forces model, how can bargaining happen? Who bargains? Only suppliers and customers can bargain. What does it mean? The supplier can bargain with you. Let's say if you're a car company and you obviously need to order parts from the supplier. The supplier can be like, hold on, I'm going to charge you 10 rand more for the product. It can bargain with you. It can say it's no longer going to sell you that part. That's going to be a problem for your business. A customer might bargain. They might say, okay, I'm going to switch to another company. Bye bye. They can bargain. Competitive forces is all the forces that makes you competitive in the market. For example, competition from suppliers, vendors, same thing, or substitutes. Suppliers in your industry will compete against you. So competition forces, you see. Competition from new competitors, new people that come in the market may have a better product and they may steal all the customers from your competitive forces. Competitors from existing rivals. So these are normal like businesses that were already there. So they might just. I don't think if you just open up a business, you'll get all the customers in to buy your product. You see, that's what they're saying. So this is the first step of industry structure, right? So you do your Peters 5 forces model. Porters. The next thing you're going to do is your competitive strategy. So you look at all the stuff you analyze here and you'll do a strategy. A strategy is very simple, right? There's 2 types of strategies. a cost strategy or differentiated strategy. Now, what does it mean? A cost strategy, you'll basically make your product as cheap as possible so you can have all the customers. Another strategy is differentiation, meaning you're not looking at the cost really. You're just making your product better. So although it's more expensive, your product is very very good, better than all other products. That's how you win your customers. So winning your customers, you can either lower cost, or you can either make your product very very good in the industry. You see what I'm trying to say? Then value chains is basically how the product gets from the raw material to the finished product. Basically, value chains, everything happens from the time you get the raw materials for the product to when you sell the product to the customer and give them in the hand. Everything that happens is a value chain. You add value. Then obviously there's business processes and information systems. Well, we're going to cover that all now. Right? So we covered this. Okay. So you have to do an assessment. Assessment, weak is good, strong is bad. So example, substitutes, right? If there's very little substitutes, that means there's very little competitors. So that's good in the market, right? So that's weak. You're weak. Competitive force is weak. There's not much competitors. If there's new entrants in the market, there's lots of new businesses doing the same thing. They're strong. They're competitive. If the rivals there, right? They use 3D printing before all road does. So before a business does, they were already there. It's weak. It's not that bad, cause if they were already there and you're just going to the industry, then it's really not that bad, right? The most bad thing is new entrants, cause new entrants, they're new businesses, so they can take over very very quick. Old businesses, you can just open up a shop and be like, hey, I'm a new business, right? It's not that risky to do that. Also, the old business that were there is very old, so they technically can get outshined by the new business. New business can be better. Suppliers, so the suppliers, they won't release the design files you need for the printing. Now, if you're a business that do 3D printing, you need design files. So if they sometimes won't release it, that's bad for you, right? So it's like in medium. The reason why it's not high is that it doesn't make sense. If they won't release the design files, then they're breaking the law. So it's like medium. Customers, I can make it myself. So if the customers can make the 3D printing themselves at home instead of buying from you, that means it's strong, right? Strong, strong, strong bargaining power. They don't have to buy from you. They can buy at home with their own things they're doing. So that's what basically the whole thing is saying. Now, the third step now is after is your competitive strategy. Actually, no, what step are we on? Competitive strategy is what? Oh, second step, yeah. Competitive strategy. All these things are talking about now each step. So competitive strategy, now you might ask, is what? So after you do your Porter's Five Forces model, you need to come with a strategy. What exactly are you going to make your products? Are you going to make it cost effective? That's how you get your customers? Or are you going to make it differentiated? Different products, very good products. Different, so you can win your customers. Two types. Industry-wide or focus. Industry-wide means, let's say all the car companies in South Africa, if you want to compete against all of them, you'll do a cost, right, method. If you want to lower your cost, differentiation, if you want to do like different products, make it better in the industry wide. But focus wide is more on your industry segment. So let's say a very, very small part of the population. Let's say you're a business that only does car hiring, so hire cars for travelers. That's a specific segment of the population. So this will fall under focus. So if you want to have cheap cars to hire for people that come to Durban for travelers, that's going to be focus, right? If we said companies, a company that hires cars to the whole of everyone, that's obviously going to be industry wide, right? So that's two different things, huh? How does a now we're on the third step now, value chain. How does a competitive strategy determine the value chain structure? So if you pick the cost strategy, right? Obviously, your value chain is everything that gets you from the raw material to the finished good. So you need to make sure the value chain is not that expensive. So you don't buy expensive raw materials. You don't add too much cost to your product. You keep your product at the lowest possible value chain. If you're on differentiation, you won't really worry about cost. You're mostly worried about how good to make your product, right? So the cost, you don't look at that when doing the value chain. You see what I'm saying? So Very good, right? Marginal benefit must be greater than marginal cost. Those people that do economics will know this. So when doing your value chain, right, each stage in the value chain, so let's say you get raw materials, right? That raw materials you get will have a delivery charge that'll be added to the cost. Then you might need the product to be taken out with a tractor, that's cost. You might need the product to be painted, that's cost. You might need the product to be washed, that's cost. You might need the product to be handled with labor, people working on it, that's cost. So all these costs are adding. But when does the value chain stop? It's when cost is greater than marginal benefit. Because if you're going to add a value chain that's going to make your product too expensive, if you're not going to sell it for profit more than the cost, then that's you a loss. So you see what I'm trying to say? So the margin, okay, the margin must always be positive, right? So as long differentiation strategy is positive margin. Makes sense. If you want to make your product the best, obviously now cost won't be your aim. But still, you can't make your product R1,000,000. Yes, it is the best product in the industry, but still, it's not. That's you're not going to get profit there, right? Loss. So you see, when the margin is negative, that's bad. Huh? That means cost is greater than marginal benefit. So you're not going to get you actually making a loss over there. So the value chain, right? Each stage of the value chain, so delivery, you painted your product as value, and the margin will obviously increase as you go. It's value minus cost. Huh? So the way I think about margin, it's like your gross profit, sales minus cost of sales, basically. So at the end, your total margin is sales minus cost of sales. So if you had too much of cost added to everything here, your margin is going to be very, very low. So your margin is like your profit, basically. You see what I'm trying to say? Remember, according to accounting, everything added to the value chain must be capitalized. Now, you might be thinking accounting students who are not accounting students right now. What are we trying to say? According to the standards of IFRS, everything related to adding cost to your product before you sell it in the intention that provided by management in the location and condition in the shop, it gets added. So if you bought the product for 10 rand, but if you painted it for 2 rand, the cost of the product is not 10 rand, it'll be 12 rand. Same with delivery. Delivery is capitalized, so all the cost is added to the product. So yeah. Okay, so there's different activities in the value chain, and they're categorized into these 5 things. Inbound logistics is getting the raw materials, right, from the suppliers. Operations is all indirect costs, so they are processing in the factory. Urban logistics is storing the final product, distributing the final product. Sales and marketing is obviously going to be your advertising cost. Customer service is obviously going to be your customer service cost. So like you call the customer, hey, how are you doing? What you making for supper? I'm joking. But basically, customer service is also a cost because there's going to be employees that's going to call the people and ask them how they are and all the stuff, right? Now, support activities in the value chain is like very, very indirect activities, right? For example, support activities could be in the value chain. You are looking at the product if they are not stolen, so you add cameras. So support activities are not directly related to manufacturing the product. It's more of indirect, but it's still added to the value chain. So if you add cameras in your shop because you don't want your products to get stolen, that cost is added to the inventory, but it's indirect. Now, is that cost actually is that cost actually going to be added here? Because it needs the asset definition, right? And so basically, yeah. So the depreciation, but I'm not going to go in accounting. But basically, if you install cameras, that can be an asset, right? So it'll be a cost to your business. Or let's say if we have a machine that verifies if all the products are good, that's added to the cost, right? Value chain linkages in the value chain, the supplier, the customer, the manufacturing, the advertising, the accounting are all somehow linked, right? The accounting manager might ask the manufacturing manager, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing? What products are you manufacturing? The supplier might ask the production manager what to produce. So everything is linked, right? Now, how value chains determine the business process and information systems? Um, Obviously, different value change will change your systems in a business, right? If you're gonna hire a supplier that is very, very dumb, your product and end of the product is going to be stupid. Now, value chain activity. So these are the two approaches: the cost approach or the differentiation approach. Huh? The cost approach, as you can see over here, there's not much supporting activities because you're keeping costs low as possible. But for the differentiation strategy, the supporting is actually quite high, right? You do a lot of stuff to make your product differentiated in the market. Over here, you're keeping costs low as possible, so you can see how they do very little. But all of them can be competitive, right? You're either going to reduce costs and get your customers, or you're either going to differentiate your product, make your product better for to increase your customers. Now, if you ask which one is the best, there is no best, right? Both industries, whether the cost method or differentiation method, can work. You just have to be smart about it, right? Let's see. How information systems provide competitive advantages, right? So there we go, information systems. So information systems can help do a competitive advantage. A competitive advantage means beating all the people in our industry. Is your product differentiation, right? So differentiating your products and customers, huh? So the way it links with information systems is, let's say your products, right? You're going to sell your products. You can use information systems to help you make very good products, right? For example, if you have a machine that is a machine, artificial intelligence, you can basically make products that are very, very good. Let's say if you have a computer system that predicts what the customers want, you can make those products very, very good. Competitive advantage with business processes, huh? Business processes is your actual processes. So what you need to know is you need to be competitive in the market. You need to hold your customers with you. You can't let your customers be wandering around and meet Mr. Jeff and now buy from Mr. Jeff. Because Mr. Jeff is your competitor. He's selling the same product with you. So somehow you have to lock in your customers, right? So basically what competitive advantage via business processes are basically the manipulation and the gaslighting that businesses do to customers. So you need to lock in the customers, right? You need to manipulate them. You need to tell them that, listen here, I'm the best supplier possible. If you go over there to the other supplier, you're done. You're done. I'm the best. I'll provide you the best. You want to go to the next supplier? Go. But know that I'm the best. So you lock in them up, right? You lock in suppliers. You create contracts with them, right? So you manipulate them into signing contracts that like basically says 1 year you have to have like be with us, like basically. So all these are indirectly, they might sound bad, but they're not. You're locking in the customers, the things, right? You're reducing costs, establishing alliances, right? So let's say your business industry is going down and like you going down with it. If you merge or if you partner up with a very, very good business, it makes you look good, hence more people will buy from you, right? um how does an actual company use it to create a competitive advantage? What's this now? Basically, so the company, how does it use information system to create a competitive advantage? This is an example. So this is an example of where a company uses all the customers' information, stores it on a file, and basically stores everything relating to the customer. This will give a competitive advantage, right? By doing this information system, because you got all the information about the customer, you got a number, your address. It's efficient, it's effective, right? If you want to order something, you can send messages to customers. So basically, all this will help you in the long run. Yeah, so it'll help you. All this will help you knowing all the customers, everything. It's a good process, good competitive thing to do in your business, and yeah, that's the second section of this topic.